this town and Rangers playoffs?
Well, I just remember seeing everybody wearing red and the Texas T, and the pride in the community, and just how special it was for our fans, and certainly excited to relive that. I skipped maybe a generation when I was playing a playoff baseball, and then here we are again. So I'm thrilled for our organization and especially for our fans who have waited a while for this.
Kevin and then Kennedy.
So do you expect the fans to really show up here for this series starting tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've got wonderful fans, and they've supported us all season long. The attendance numbers speak for themselves, and this is what they've waited for. I have no doubt they'll be here in full support.
Kennedy?
Knowing this stadium did host the World Series in 2020, does that make this even, I guess, a little more special, just knowing that, it's finally your team playing playoff baseball?
Yeah, I really haven't thought much about 2020. I just know that this is a new building. It's a new era of Rangers baseball, and now to have a playoff game at home, I'm super excited for our fans. And this is what I've envisioned so many times when I've walked in there and just looked around, and just to have a packed house full of 40,000 fans rocking and cheering on their home team. I think it's just great for our community.
After you just said you hadn't thought about 2020, I'm going to ask you a question about 2020.
Right.
Clearly you were in a different role back then. What do you kind of recall about that, and just how different everything was then, and just how this building played into it, and the excitement, like you said, of playing it now here?
Well, I think most importantly, reflecting back on that, just how special it was in a pandemic to be able to still host really the best event in sports, the World Series, and certainly what the city of Arlington and the Texas Rangers did at the time to make that happen. And of course, Major League Baseball, there were so many people that came together, the Players Association, the owners, the league, the TV broadcasts. Everybody came together to give people entertainment at a time at which it was desperately needed. And to me, that's what I recall about that. So many people worked to make that happen.
Were you surprised at how well it seemed to come together? It might not have been that way behind the scenes, but it seemed like everything came together.
It was. It took a lot of effort by a number of people to get there, but no, because I think everybody knew our country needed it.
Last question. Has there been a decision made, roof open, roof closed?
That's a Major League Baseball decision. I think our stadium ops group will be in touch with the officials at Major League Baseball to evaluate that. I think that the weather conditions will dictate most of that.
We've peppered you guys with relentless bullpen questions for 162 games, I guess. It felt like it was a lot of bend, don't break these 4 games on the road in the postseason. What are you seeing from the entire group?
Well, I think that's true of most bullpens. I think that they've been a resilient bunch. They've all been ready and prepared. They've taken the ball and they've gone out and they've done a very good job. And I think that goes back really to the last few series. And as I've said before, they're all very capable. They've all had stretches at different points this season where they've thrown the ball well. And my hope is that they continue to pitch well collectively for the remainder of the season.
I think there was a point at one time where stats showed that the ball carried better here when the roof is closed as opposed to being open. Do you know if that is the case, and do you know if your players prefer to be open?
Yeah, Kevin, I thought it was the opposite. So yeah, you may be correcting me, but really, both teams are playing in the same ballpark: roof open, roof closed, same conditions. And I always said as a starting pitcher, my job was to be one run better than the other team, and ultimately that's all that matters. That's the way we look at it, and whatever the conditions are, our job is to go out and find a way to win.
Certainly no team wants to go through the injuries you guys did this year. What was it like for you to be constantly plugging holes in the dike? And then beyond that, do you feel like you guys are actually now seeing the benefit of players having to come up and fill in those gaps, and now they're playing well in the postseason?
Well, yeah, as I reflect back to a year ago and where we were in terms of our 40-man roster and the depth or the lack thereof on the roster, I think this year we were much better positioned to absorb some of the injuries that occurred over the course of the season. And a number of players have played significant roles, stepped up at key points in the season when we've lost some of our regulars. So every team goes through it. It's nothing unique to our team. For me, it's part of the job. I expect it. We came into the season. I by no means expected the team that we left spring training with, the 26 players, to be our 26 players throughout the entire year. And it's part of it. But when you have a very deep roster, it allows you to plug some of those holes. And certainly Boach and the coaching staff did a great job of putting these guys in the best positions to succeed. And the players themselves, over the course of the year, being able to earn those opportunities, that's what has gotten us to where we are.
Jeff, right here.
When did you guys realize that Evan Carter was this guy, this calm 21-year-old who very good at baseball but doesn't let anything bother him? And then I guess
he's only been 21 a few weeks, so yeah. When we drafted him, it was before I got here, but that from the day I've walked in, I've heard about Evan's makeup and just the person and the character, and those are attributes that will likely serve you well if you continue to progress from a talent standpoint. And certainly Evan has the talent to go with those intangibles, which have allowed him to come onto this stage at such an early age and really perform. And but until a player does it, you never know how they're going to respond. And you see a lot of guys come up and they struggle for a period of time, and they go up and down, and then eventually they figure it out. Some guys come right in and do great the way Evan has. So it's just, you never know what you're going to get until they get the opportunity. But is it surprising given the personality and the maturity? No, I think when you have that level of maturity and the way he plays the game and the passion and the work ethic, I think that he's put himself in a great position to be successful, and he's seizing that opportunity.
Third row. Do you have a follow, Jeff? Or no? Third row on your right, Jared.
See, when you guys looked at the lineup before the year, or the guys who could be in the lineup, did you envision a group that would work counts and get on base the way that they have, or was that sort of a surprise, or maybe not a surprise, just not something that you necessarily expected the way it unfolded?
Well, Jared, I think some of that is targeting specific types of players in terms of what we want to be as an offensive identity. And last year, we felt like we were a pretty good offense, but there were some things that we needed to shore up a little bit. And I think that, one is just getting Josh Young and Mitch back, we thought would immediately help our offensive performance. But also continuing what Donnie Ecker and Tim Hires and Cody Atkinson and our really offensive program throughout the system, and being it's continued into our player development, our draft strategy. There are certain types of characteristics in a profile that we want, and I think that trying to create that top to bottom, bottom to top, allows for continuity and allows us to win games in different ways.
Then, not nearly as serious, but do you have a favorite Creed song? Since it seems like that's become a big thing.
Whatever they're playing in the clubhouse, that's mine, yeah.
Other questions for Chris? On your left.
Hey, Chris, number one, what does it mean to have Mike Maddox as your pitching coach?
Yeah, Mike's been phenomenal. The pitchers love him. He's done a great job. He really, I think, similar to Boach, one of the things Mike does best is instill a conviction, a belief in the guys, and he works as hard as anybody I've seen in this game. And that when our guys go out there, they're prepared, and Mike demands that, and just brings out the best in them. And so we've certainly had some ups and downs over the course of the year, and but Mike has done a tremendous job, and with the injuries we've had on the staff as well, we've found ways to kind of fill those gaps, and he's been wonderful. It's been fun working with him.
And then the offseason, the Rangers signed Simeon and Corey Seager. There were a lot of good shortstops on the market. What does it mean just to see how those two guys, for the most part, have lived up to their billing?
Yeah, they've been everything we could have expected. They've just been wonderful in terms of the performance on the field, but also the leadership and the roles that they've played behind the scenes, which we get to see on a daily basis, and just the expectation to win, the way they come to the ballpark every day with a focus and a work ethic that they want to win. They're competitive by nature, and they're different personalities, but yet they still want the same common goal, which is to win. And it really is, I think about that too, they came here at a time at which we had lost 100 games, and they had no fear of what we were building here. And then now, after one season, in year two, for them to be here and be part of a playoff team, I have a lot of gratitude to those guys for believing in us and wanting to be here.
Go to the
You've
right
obviously
corner,
known Bruce
Chris.
Bochy for a long time. Is he a better manager now than he was way back when? I mean, what have you noticed maybe in this time
Well,
around where he's improved?
Yeah, yes, I think he is, and I think that's why he's still successful at managing, is that he's evolved. And, you know, I can't give specific examples. I thought he was a great manager in 2006 when I played for him. But the game has changed immensely since then. And to see Boch keeping up with that and absorbing information, and, you know, the staffs are bigger, the front offices are bigger, the influence of R&D is significant. I mean, there's so much to manage. The scope of the job is immensely bigger than when I played for him in 06. And certainly, you know, he managed through 19 and got to evolve then too. But to see him just step right in and be able to handle this, the rules have changed since then. I mean, there's a lot that has changed in that time period, but he's a great manager because he's continued to grow and evolve and be open-minded. And, you know, I think that when we hired him, a lot of people asked about an old school manager, and I feel the exact opposite. I think that, you know, if you're stuck in your ways, you don't last. And, you know, these old managers who have last because they evolve and they're open-minded and they grow. And I think that's an important attribute to recognize with Boch. But he's been wonderful. I absolutely love working with him.
Got Kevin up here in the front.
When you signed Seager, he was a really good player. He's really taking it up a notch now. Do you feel like you got a real bargain then in what you paid for him?
Oh, you ask Ray that one. I just, you know, what he's meant to our organization, it's hard to really quantify in terms of just the performance on the field, but also attracting other players to want to be Texas Rangers, to buy into our vision, and to say as a competitor that I'm not afraid of where you guys have been, but I want to be part of the solution moving forward. It just means so much, and I think it speaks to Corey and Marcus and, you know, all the other players who signed off on coming here. I know that there was a financial component that contributed to that, but ultimately these guys are competitors and they want to win, and having no fear to come here and be part of this is pretty special. I think it speaks to who they are, and certainly it's, you know, seems to have worked out to this point.